Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be talking about shotguns, and I'm going to be asking the question, what is the best shotgun to use for grouse hunting? Right here I have the four main shotgun action styles that you'll see on the market: a single shot, a side-by-side, or an over-under. I'm going to categorize those as the same, a pump action, and a semi-automatic. I'm also going to be excluding bolt action, lever action, and revolver actions, purely because the revolver and lever actions are, while they're still being produced, the quality of them is a little iffy, the prices are high, they're more unique, you're not seeing those regularly on the market, and a lot of them have chamber restrictions. The bolt actions, no longer in production, pretty old style technology. They're cool guns, not ideal for shooting on the wing. They're okay for shooting on the ground, but again, chamber restrictions. So I'm going to just focus on the four main styles that you're going to be seeing readily available on today's market. I'm going to be going through the four styles of shotguns, explaining the pros and cons of each, and then I'm going to give a little breakdown at the end of each shotgun with a 1 through 3 star rating of each of the 5 fields that I'm going to be specifically talking about on each of these shotguns, and we're going to establish which one is the most ideal for grouse hunting in different scenarios. The 2 scenarios that we are going to be covering are going to be road hunting, so shooting on the ground, and then on the wing, over a dog or in the bush. So we're going to be looking at 5 major fields when it comes to each of these shotguns. We are going to be looking at the weight of the shotgun, the capacity, cartridge versatility, which is going to be the chamber lengths and what shells it requires to function properly. We're going to be looking at field maintenance, how easy it is to clean the shotgun in the field, and the price. So to start, we are going to be looking at the traditional single shot, definitely the most simple one of the bunch. They are going to be extremely light, compact, fold down nice and easy, very ideal if somebody is going to be doing a lot of walking. The cartridge capacity is going to be 1 shell. So open it up, slap a shell in, close it, fire away. Not ideal for shooting into larger flocks. You fire 1 shot, the rest is going to probably fly. No opportunity to follow up with another shot. And usually when you fire 1 shot, if there are other birds, you're taking away your focus from where you're aiming to essentially switch out to another shell. By the time you look up, that bird might have ran off, you might have lost where it was. The cartridge versatility is nice. On these lower sub gauges, it's really ideal. On all shotguns, you're generally going to be looking at getting a 3-inch chamber, depending on if it's a 12 through 410, with the exception of 16, which is going to be a 2 3/4 only. I do recommend, if you're shooting a single shot, because of how light they are, try to stick away from a 12 and 16. There's a lot of recoil behind those. 20, 28, and 410 are really ideal in my opinion. Field maintenance is very simple. If you got an issue like an obstruction of your barrel, you can just open it up, clean it like so. If you got issues with your hinge, you can clean it out very easily. The only fallback would be if you have an issue with the firing pin, like the hammer or the trigger assembly. You'll have to take off the stock. Most people don't want to do that in the field. The likelihood of seeing such a catastrophic failure such as that is pretty low though. And then lastly, the price of these shotguns is by far the best. You're on average $150 to $300 for these shotguns. They are going to be the most inexpensive, and I mean, rightfully so, they're very bare bones. Next, we are going to be looking at the side-by-sides and over-under shotguns. I'm going to categorize these into the same group because the functionality is generally the same. The weight of these shotguns is going to vary depending on the particular shotgun you pick. Unlike a single shot, these guys are going to be substantially more heavy because you're going to have 2 barrels instead of 1. And some instances, such as this particular model, you're going to be exceeding 8 pounds in weight purely because of the design. Now, if you're looking at doing a lot of just road hunting, you're driving around, a heavy gun like this, nothing wrong with that. You're not going to be walking with it that much, so it doesn't really matter. If you're going to be hunting over a dog and walking 10 kilometers in a day, you might want to look for a light option. There are specific brands out there, Rosini, Franchi, that actually offer like super light or light models, which is really nice. So if you do a lot of walking, that's more ideal. So you really got to watch which shotgun you're buying. Do some research before you settle on a gun for your style of hunting. Cartridge capacity, you're going to be looking at 2, which I like. It's more of like a semi-automatic design. You get up, bang, you fire at a bird. Another one flushes, you got a follow-up shot. You got 2 on the road, bang, bang, you can fire 2 shots, no problem. Cartridge versatility, like the single shot, usually these are going to allow up to a 3-inch chamber, with some shotguns allowing up to 3.5 in a 12. Most of the time I'm not using a 3-inch cartridge anyways, but it's still nice to have. I have used them for pheasants and waterfowl in these shotguns. But if you're looking at grouse hunting, a 2 3/4 is usually the way to go. Again, no recoil mitigation on these shotguns, but if you're going to be shooting a higher gauge, there's a lot more forward weight because of the 2 barrels. So in those higher gauges, the shotgun actually absorbs a lot more recoil than a single shot. You're not going to get as much muzzle rise as well, so it's actually not as bad as it would be with a single shot, even in those lightweight models. Field maintenance is going to be the same as the single shot. If you have an obstruction, clean the barrels like so, clean the hinge. And lastly, we're looking at the price. The price of these shotguns varies a ton. For a lower quality shotgun, you're going to be looking at around $1,000 and less. If you want to get something a little bit more higher end, you're going to be really starting around that $1,500 to $2,000 range. So really what you're getting out of these shotguns, it's kind of overpriced in a way. Obviously, a lot of the price of these shotguns is going to be cosmetic, but overall, I think you're going to be getting an exceptionally reliable system for the price that you're paying, and very good materials. Next, we are going to be looking at the pump action shotgun. This is by far going to be the most popular shotgun amongst shooters and hunters out there. You're going to find that the average weight of a pump action shotgun is probably around that 6-pound mark, 6.5-pound mark, which is perfect. It's very ideal for both walking and for just driving around. The capacity on these shotguns is 3, which is very ideal in my opinion. I like having 3 shots a lot of the time, especially if I'm ground shooting, just because I'm often running into flocks. If I'm hunting on the wing, it doesn't matter as much to have those 3 shells, because if you're flushing up a flock of birds, more often than not, you're not going to even be able to fire 3 shots in tight bush. But when you're ground shooting, especially into flocks of like spruce grouse, you want to have as many shells as possible to get quick follow-ups. Cartridge versatility of pump actions is really nice because you're going to generally get 3-inch or 3.5-inch chambers depending on the shotgun you're purchasing. And because it's manual operation, you can shoot literally anything through it. Lightest loads, heaviest loads, it doesn't really matter because you're going to be manually operating the shotgun anyways. Field maintenance is definitely the one major drawback. There's a lot of moving parts in these shotguns, and as you disassemble it in the field, you can very easily lose small parts. Now, you're not going to experience as many failures as like a semi-automatic because again, you're manually operating it. So with hang-ups and stuff, you can just kind of like manually override if there's like a jam, and usually it'll throw it out if you force it, whereas the semi might get a hang-up. I love the price of like this one, for example. I got it for 300 bucks. It's a Mossberg Maverick 88. Nowadays they're going for closer to 400 bucks, but it's still a very affordable shotgun, and it's going to be really good quality for what you're paying. Other options like a Winchester SXP or a Benelli Nova, very affordable pricing for the average Canadian, for the average American. It allows you to get out in the field and do anything you want. And it's not just strictly a grouse gun. You can use this for anything. You can use it for big game, for turkey, for waterfowl, anything you want. It's a very good, versatile shotgun. And lastly, we are going to be looking at a semi-automatic shotgun. I would say out of all these, the semi-automatic is probably my least favorite for grouse hunting. While it's nice to have quick follow-up shots, I just find that there's a lot of cons to these shotguns when you're out grouse hunting. They're relatively heavy. The average shotgun weight is a little bit higher than a pump. You're going to be looking at, let's say, 7 pounds, 7.5 pounds, mainly because there's a little bit more under the hood. Cartridge capacity is 3, which is pretty much the only pro in my opinion to these shotguns. Quick follow-ups, you can get 3 shots off pretty fast. Cartridge versatility is probably the worst thing about semi-automatic shotguns, depending on the one that you're buying. If you purchase an inertia shotgun, and let's say it's a 3.5-inch chamber, and you're shooting some lighter grouse loads or even clay loads on like woodcock and grouse on the wing, it's gonna probably not cycle the gun effectively. Field maintenance, again, kind of like the pump, it's pretty poor, just because if you have any malfunctions with this gun just upon firing, you're going to have to manually, again, override it, which with a pump, you're doing it anyway, so it kind of excuses it a little bit. In this instance, if, let's say, it jams halfway, now you have to go down, rack it out, maybe feed another one in or whatever. And then if, again, you're getting some catastrophic failures inside the receiver, you have to punch out pins, you got little parts and stuff, springs that you might accidentally punch, that might just go everywhere, and you're going to lose all your parts. So you got to really watch with semi-automatics when you're cleaning them in the field. And then the price is the other major thing. The price of these shotguns, as well as the side-by-sides and over-unders, get a little out of hand if you're just trying to go grouse hunting. A lot of people want semi-automatics for grouse hunting, but you're really not getting that great of a shotgun for around $1,000. You're going to be starting to see the nice quality ones around the $1,500 mark. But like in a pump, for what you're paying, let's say you pay $800 for a pump, you're getting like a Supernova or a Remington 870. You're getting like a really nice shotgun, really nice pump shotgun for what you want to do. Whereas you're probably getting a Turkish manufactured semi-automatic shotgun that's more than likely just going to probably cause you issues and make you hate your life. So I would say you'd probably want to stick into a higher end semi-automatic shotgun if you decide to settle on one, because if you go into a lower end one, you're probably going to run into problems. So that is all for the breakdown of the shotgun styles. Now I'm going to be explaining my two personal preferences for hunting on the ground and hunting on the wing. For on the ground, without a doubt, it's going to be the pump action shotgun. Now, while the single shot is a close second, I do find there are certain aspects that make me want to shy away from it. Mainly the cartridge capacity. I like having 3 shells because more often than not, where I'm grouse hunting around here, I'm running into flocks. I want to have a quick follow-up shot, and you just can't do it with a single shot. The weight of the single shots as well is kind of a turnoff. While they're super light and easy to carry, if you're firing a lot of shells through like a heavier gauge, like a 12 or a 16, you're going to probably punish your shoulder pretty hard, especially if you don't have a recoil pad on it. Pump action shotguns, balanced weight. You're going to be getting good cartridge versatility. You can shoot all kinds of loads through it to fit your needs. If you need a lighter shell, you can run a lighter shell. If you need a heavier shell, you can run a heavier shell, and it's going to be fine. Plus, in my opinion, because of the price of a single shot, let's say you're around 200 bucks. You're already halfway there to a Maverick 88. And the quality of a single shot by today's standards is not that great. Most of them are going to be produced overseas in Turkey, whereas you can get a Maverick 88 that's made right in the USA, which is really nice. And next we are going to be looking at the most ideal shotgun for shooting on the wing, generally over a dog or just in the bush. And without a doubt, my personal preference is the side-by-side or over-under shotgun. While you could also use this on the road, I just don't find that the sight plane of a side-by-side and over-under is good for shooting on stationary targets. It's a really good shotgun style for shooting on the wing. You're still getting more than one cartridge on like the single shot, so it's good to shoot with follow-up shots. If you do, let's say, shoot one on the ground and then you can follow up on one on the wing. But I just generally like using these for birds on the wing over a dog. The price of these can get a little out of hand, but I did purchase this Stoeger here, for example, that I only paid like 650 bucks for. Really affordable. Yes, it's really heavy and it takes a lot throughout the day to carry it, especially in this 12 gauge, but because of how heavy it is, that makes the recoil actually extremely light. And I'm generally shooting pretty light loads too, because I usually shoot woodcock in the mix. I like the field maintenance factor because when I'm hunting in thick stuff like behind me here, for example, this is actually pretty ideal woodcock habitat here behind me. I have hunted here in the past and have shot woodcock and grouse. You're in really thick stuff. And a lot of those shells, let's say you're shooting a pump or a semi, upon firing, bang, if you fire in cycle, you're gonna get debris inside your gun like crazy, like really easily. So your guns are gonna experience more failure shooting in the bush, whereas a road, you're in an open area, it's not the same. These guns here, generally, because they're closed, bang, bang, no issues. You might get obstructions in your barrel, sure, but generally that's not gonna happen, and you wanna just keep an eye out for that so you don't have any problems. And then when you're loading and unloading, you can just open it up like this. And when you're taking your shells out of your gun in the forest, you don't want to just be leaving them on the ground everywhere. So you can manually catch them or extract them and just put them in your pouch. Whereas when you cycle on the road, let's say with a pump action shotgun, you cycle out your shell, it's going to land probably on the road. So you can find it pretty easily, not leave your shells in the forest. Alrighty folks, that is all for today's video on which is the best shotgun to use for grouse hunting. If you found this video helpful, I would love to see it down in the comment section. Let me know if I influenced any of your opinions. Maybe you were looking at a different shotgun and I kind of influenced you to a different one. And I also want to hear what shotguns you guys use down in the comment section as well. I want to see what the most popular ones are out there. And I just want to see if there's anybody that has a little bit more of an opinion on certain shotgun styles that you might be able to add in the comment section to influence some other people that, again, might be looking at picking up a new gun. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below as well, because I'm going to be releasing a lot more grouse hunting information videos, as well as grouse hunting come September 15th. So if you're looking to stick around to hear some more information about what guns you might want to use, shotgun shells, and just hunting tips in general, I'm going to be releasing a lot of that stuff here in the future. Have a good one, folks. Take care.